I'm Don, and tonight we're going to talk about aliens, or to be more specific, the Necrons. There's a story about the Necrons, few people know, but a long time ago in the 80s, Citadel, the original group that was bought out by Games Workshop, I think, or changed their name, whatever, had a game called Warhammer, and it was doing really well. It's a fantasy battle system, and it had humans and dwarves and elves and the undead, etc., and orcs, and they did really well. And they wanted to cover the other part of the market, which was science fiction games, and so they invented Warhammer 40K, which had space marines and space humans and space dwarves and space elves and space orcs. But they left out the undead group, and they couldn't really figure out a way to put the undead into science fiction. And so along came the idea of making some kind of ancient race that long ago died and got put in tombs that look suspiciously like pyramids. And they came back from the dead when they were woken up by intrepid adventurers and explorers. And that's where the Necron came from. Even though they look like robots to you and me, they're actually skeletons and vampires and mummies and zombies. So let's get started with them. Now, first we're going to we're going to vary a little bit here. Most people think of aliens as being these little short guys with big heads and flying around in little flying saucers. Or they think of them as monstrous, multi-limbed creatures with guns, or the alien with black phallic heads. And these two collections are great. Even have a crab tank for the aliens, which is very unusual. But the Necrons came along, and like I said, they were robots. And here are the very first Necrons that came out. You can see that they are, of course, all metal. And their spiders were just little bitty bug things with wings. And their flying tank things with the big heavy cannon looked more like, I don't know, ski slope things or something. But then they came with much more interesting stuff. You can see the bugs started flying, and I didn't like them in the groups that they came in, so I made them little individual fellows. I think these are on dimes or pennies. And these are even little smaller groups of them. And then the Necrons came out with their pharaohs, or at least pharaonic looking guys. These are metal. But then they got into the cheap plastic, which you can see these are the individual troopers, and these are some kind of special troopers here. I'm not sure what. Then here we have the flying guys, which you can see changed a whole lot. They look like scarab beetles in the back. And here we have some mechanoid repair robots. Here's the original one that came out. Here's a more modern version of them. I really don't know what they look like now. I have a hard time even getting to the Games Workshop site to look at the individual stuff. Here are two of the Catan, the Death Dealer maybe, and the Jester. I don't know. Then over here we have some non-Games Workshop miniatures which fit in. Here is an explosion of some type of bomb, but instead of flame and all that, it has nanites which come out in a cloud and take your tank away from you. Here's a little drone ship with a gun on it. Here are some of their bigger pyramid tanks, but in very, very small scale. Think about using them as some kind of buried mines or drones themselves. And here is an off-brand that's obviously meant to be Warhammer 40K competition for their heavy bolters. But as you can see, they put them on a kind of a walking tread-looking thing, so I use them as some kind of Necron backup weapon. And these are some Easter Island heads that are uh, metallic and have metallic functions to them. And I use those as warnings that you've come to the wrong planet, Monkey Boy, and you really should leave. So if you see those, you should avoid them. Now, up here, we have some of the more interesting, tanks that I picked up for the collection. These were bought for me by a friend of mine named Hammer and another friend named Richie. Uh, these just great miniatures. I just really, really love the spider tank here, and the flying jet thing. That's really, really wild.
These look like Battlestar Galactica, the resurrection ship.
That's where they came from. Actually, that's called a resurrection flyer, and the idea for the Battlestar Galacticas came from that very ship fighter back there. At least I think so. I don't know. That's what I've read. And here we have the original tank that they put out. It's got some kind of gate right here for the soldiers to pour out. They've got big, heavy, triple-barreled guns to shoot at them, and I don't know, some kind of gem. Never really gotten to read much about the lore of the Necrons, so I'm not sure now. This is another one that Hammer bought for me. This is so one of these that's supposedly opened up. You can see it's a much newer version of the tank, and you can have it closed up like one of these, or you can open it up and inside, surprise, there's some kind of weird flamey guy with a spider made of metal on top of him. That's pretty cool. But again, this is the newest version of their battle tank, I guess, and this is the older version of it, which I kind of like. And that's my Necron collection. Not so much, but quite ancient, and going back to the very beginning of them. And I hope you enjoyed looking at them as much as I've enjoyed bringing them to you. That's Becky on the camera back there, Noodle and Juju down on the floor having fun, and I've been Don, and I thank you for watching.
Like and subscribe.